Now I like to invite Dr. Ajit Kumar Behura, sir, from IIT Dhanbad. Sir.
Chairman of the session, Professor Patit Pavan Mishra and Professor Udayanath Sahu and Pradeep Kumar Mishra and Dr. Neha Sharma, all the dignitaries of the dais, Sri Bachan Kumar sir and Professor Padi, the chairman of the conference, all other dignitaries, both India and abroad, and scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. And today I'm going to speak something on the sessional topic, Indian diaspora in Southeast Asia. It's a kind of descriptive analysis, rather more informative. And I would like to directly give the information about these things, how it's happening. Over here, 4 things I have described. One is what is diaspora, what is Indian diaspora, and its impact, and the present situation. So these are basically broadly the 4 things. There are few slides. Everything is presented in the slide. Of course, I'll explain you entire thing in brief. Thank you. Now, the thing is, if you see diaspora, originally this word came from the Greeks, and those who have dispersion from the, Gentiles. Gentiles are the persons, those who are not from Greece. Okay, they are called Gentiles. So originally this word came from there. Okay. Actually, the meaning of this word is when people living far from their homes and for some kind of community with each other, because we are from different places, and maintain a kind of relationship with the people from the similar place or from the same land, is called the diaspora. This is the actual meaning. And some of these essential features of this diaspora are, they all have a memory. Now we know that when we are working outside, most of the times we have because I am from Orissa, all the time I have this original, for the last 20 years I have been trying how to come back to Orissa. Because this motherland, all the time it is there, the memory of this original motherland. And it is a kind of alienation. We will feel separated, staying away, marginalization, exclusion, relationship with the kins, some kind of relationship, maybe over phone and other things which are there. And reserve some kind of ethnic boundaries, thinking that I am from this community and this is my area. And a kind of ongoing relationship with my ancestors, and kind of idealization, if not actually, with whether I can return back to my place or not, but some kind of idealization, I belongs to this place and this area. Okay. And the importance of this concept has many things, like the kind of human experience, it becomes more diverse. As person, identity issues, longing, we all the time feel like how to return back to my place. So these are the few conceptual things which often associated with these things. And interest of the state, it has a political, economic, and cultural mobilization. So all these things started because there is a kind of diasporic, background. Now, there are international organizations which deals with the development and the relationship and international relations. So these are basically different concepts which are associated with diasporas. Okay. Now, diaspora is almost like a banyan tree, you can see. They have a link with the mother. At the same time, they have supporting roots. So even if the mother disappears or the ancestor disappears, still they can exist. But at the same time, they have a link with these things. It's exactly one can represent diaspora in the terms of this kind of things. Okay. Now the Indian diaspora, this is the meaning of the diaspora. What is the Indian diaspora? Now the Indian diaspora is the people, those who have migrated from this territory and their descendants. And so there are more than 20, people say even 27, 28 million composed of NRIs and the persons of Indian origin, PIOs. So these are the two things are there. Okay. So Indian diaspora, they have gone to several countries. Approximately one can say there are more than 110 countries where this Indian diaspora is there. They have many sub-ethnic groups, diverse occupation, income, business, different groups, religio, and the sectoral things also there over there. And Indian diaspora, if you see a bit more closely, there is a kind of mass migration has started 19th century because of colonial influence and other things. There are some 28 million they have migrated between 1846 to 32 before our independence. And 4.5 million approximately they are in Malaya and Burma between 1882 and 1937, mostly working class, coolies because of this plantation, sugar and the rubber plantation there. And they are basically the workers. Now, post-independence, there were migration to Britain, US, okay? And since 70s, there are highly skilled migrants to US, Canada, and Australia in search of job and other things there, okay? Now, if you see these statistics over here, we have given how different countries it is there, Canada, US, UK, and if we see the Southeast Asian countries, and Myanmar, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, in each country which has been given in this in detail. And now the thing is Indian diaspora in general, so we have around 17%, this is 2001 data, now it must be a little bit higher. So the Myanmar around 17%, okay, and other countries, Malaysia, Saudi, UK, and other countries, it is there, okay. USA is also there, 10%, okay. Now because there are diasporic things are involved and there are policy developments because it was not there in the ancient times, but now there are Indian diaspora report has come 2001, 2002, and 2005, so there are many different things. So there are Indian Diaspora Day, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, which starts 9th of January of every year, Overseas Citizenship India Act, dual citizenship given the persons of Indian origin, all those things are developed now, and people are more conscious about these things and its implications. And Indian diaspora is, after several hundred years, it is becoming more important now because there are political social prejudice prevailing because many of these migrants are laborers. So therefore, there are politico-social prejudice living, whether Indians are like this. Now take, for example, from China. The type of products which are available in India from China, we feel that the Chinese products are not good. But the same Chinese products are going to US, they are of high quality. So the impression of US, they say Chinese products are extremely good quality. But the things which come to India, we feel that the Chinese products are very low quality. It depends on which type of. So because our migrants are mostly laborers, so they have an idea about them in Malaysia and other countries because Indians, but that is not the true. And the traders and other community, their number is comparatively less. So there are socio-political prejudice prevailing against the people of Indian origin, mostly those countries where the India were bringing indentured laborers kind of agreement because of the British things during the colonial period. And over the time, they became very strong because of the business and other ties, education, the strong and prosperous communities now, Indians. Okay. Now, this is the map of these things. Now, Indians have established, of course, they have these colonial things and regions in Indonesia and Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, Siam, and the people of this And of course, because of this ancient relationship, way of life, we have an Indic way of life mingled with so many things, mixed, crisscrossing, and overlapping on each other. So the kings and the kingdoms, they have Indian names, their common masses, religion, and they have Saivism, Buddhism, Vaishnavism, different Hindu thoughts are there, Sanskrit language for their administrative work, got Indian epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Of course, they are a little bit twisted somewhere. Puranas translated into local languages, many art, architecture also you will find the similar things. Now they have eastern, southern trade communities from the eastern, southern, and the western ports of India ventured. They have settled there at the different and the littoral regions, means the the frontier regions of this Sumatra, Java, Bali, adjacent of Malacca and the Sunda Straits were different and safe to the Indian traders communities from Kalinga, Nagapattinam, and Kutch region. These straits are full of opportunities because long presence of gold on both the coastal sides. Both sides are Malaya Peninsula, Sumatra, Java, and southern, even up to the southern Vietnam and China. And if you see this entire thing of migration, which has started three different phases: ancient, medieval, and post-Cold War period. So the first phase is not documented, but there are references found in Indian mythological and classical texts. Other inscriptions also you can find these things. So ancient periods can found between north and the south Indian things: Shunga, Satavahana, Nanda, Maurya, Kalinga, Gupta, Pallava, Chalukya, Pandya, and Chola, and they are documented, and their inscriptions also it is found some places. Okay. Now, Indian settlements in the southeast countries, Java during 9th century, they got mixed with the locals. Of course, so many years they have lived over there. And you can see that they call the people of Kalinga different names. Kalinga people, Aryas, Sinhalese, and Pandyakera, Pandyas, Keralites, the Dravidians, and they are the Chams and Khmers. And of course, in Southeastern countries, the people, those who are from the western sides, Gujaratis and Sindhis, they have settled for their business interests. At Sumatra, they are also there. And so if you see this broadly, this area is divided into three different zones, and this Swarnabhumi, Malaya Peninsula is called Swarnabhumi, and Swarnadip, which is Sumatra, and Javadip, Java, and which can be also found at the Lobotua inscriptions from 10th century, okay, and from Surasho inscriptions of Old Malaya and Tamil of the 14th century, you can find some of the informations and all. If you see the religions and these gods, of course, because they are there are cultural influences are there. So those things you can do in thousands of temples, stupas and viharas, and where there are statues of Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, and Ganesha, Durga, Gautam Buddha, Bodhisattva, and all these things were carved. Some of them are still found in the ancient glories of different things. Stories related to Choras, Srivijaya and Chola, Pallava, Champa kingdoms, okay? King Nandivarman, okay? All these things can be put in under one umbrella. Now, the thing is, because the seminar is on Kalinga, so the term Kalinga also refers to the people of Sumatra from the western coast of India. In fact, if I have seen this maritime history of India of Sridharan, so there it was written. In fact, we saw in some of the references, it is the Kalinga people who are responsible for having initiated the first journey, the spirit of, immigrating to Java. So Kalinga has its own importance. They are probably the first people, those who have gone there. So that type of things are also there. So the second phase witnessed by the migration by the British East India Company, and because they have the interest of rubber plantation and coffee and tea plantation. So what happened? So they took this Indian people laborers. So they filled their new colonies of Malaysia, Indonesia, Suriname, Reunion is there, Fiji, Mauritius, Trinidad and Tobago, even some of these African countries. So those things were there. So they were by load some kind of higher wages, and they forced them to go to those countries and all. Okay. So there's a large-scale migration happened probably towards the early 19th century and 20th century, and it is a kind of indenture or Angani system, a kind of agreement between the things that you have to go for certain ages and all. Many of them, they didn't come back. They have settled over there. Afterwards, Indian National Army by Subhash Chandra Bose time and all. So many of these people, those who went to Malaysia to fight during Second World War, and they have also settled over there. Okay. Then there was free immigrations for the clerks and the traders, bureaucrats, professionals for their livelihood. After independence, of course, many people went to all these Southeast Asian countries, and after 70s, things were moving even higher, like Singapore, Malaysia, many are going there. Okay. Now the third phase, which started post-colonial, or rather post-globalization era, when Indian traders, they thought that probably this is the best place where they can do the business. They expand their trade business. You can find Sindhis, Gujaratis, Odias, Tamils, Kannada people over there. And there is a slow, steady migration to those places. So Indian community constitutes approximately 7.3% of Malaysia's population. Probably it is 2001 things. And Myanmar's population are around 5% and 9.71% of Singapore's population. Now the Indian cultural influence in the Southeast Asia, because of these diasporic things, we have a kind of thing. So one thing, it has been told again and again yesterday by some of our erudite speakers, and they were there, it was not by military or by force, rather it was more into business and cultural things. And by persuasion, devotion to their work and the deeds, missionary activities of this Hinduism and this Buddhism, and they have established their monasteries and ashrams, many of these places, and the Hindus, Buddhist culture, they have permeated the life also of the people. They have elevated the Southeast Asian lifestyle, their spirituality, so they became part and parcel of these things. And people felt that the Indians, or rather the people of India, elevated their lifestyle and understanding. So Southeast Asians was under Indian influence around 200 BC until 15th century. And Indianizer aspects of Southeast Asia is found. Even you will find individually, I have written down everything, but the time constraint, so we have just kept it out. It is their architecture. You can see that Angkor Wat and Jagannath temple, as our professor from Cambodia was speaking, there is a kind of similarity, and many of the things are similar. Architecture, their religion, art and culture, you can find these things, and society, literature, and maritime activities, trade, cuisine, even our curry and all these things, language, so everything, there is a kind of similarity, overlapping things are there. So if you see these things, now this is gone. Now the present scenario, what is happening, of course, there are erudite thinkers are there, like Professor Patitapan Mishra, he might be knowing much more. So the Malaysia, which consists the Indians, those who stay, Tamils, which are 80%, bulk of them are Hindus, and because they came from plantation and industries, now, so their educational and economic progress is not up to the mark. So there is, so that they are below some kind of average Malaysian things. So affirmative actions programs normally, which happens in many of the countries, but as I know, I just got some of these places, some of the articles, they had given to these Bhumiputras and the people of this Malaysian people, and which is not given to the Indians, those who stayed in Malaysia. So which creates a problem, because it's a diasporic issue. We being Indians, we feel little concerned about that. Okay. Now, the second thing is Indians, it is one of the poorest section in general. There are, of course, some business people, those who are very affluent, but there are most of the people, they are comes from there. Still, they find themselves denied citizenship, even identity card, because they are the laborers. For the last 3-4 generations, they have been staying over there. There is a kind of widespread allegations, serious discriminations, which is we do not know how the things are projected, but some of these places it was been found. And the Indian community in matters of education, basic citizens' right, economic well-being, housing, licensing, and trade regulations, and the government allocations, they are a little discriminated, okay? And it is more into a kind of Islamization, led to a rapid marginalization of the ethnic Indians, basically the Hindus. Okay. So the largest public protest also happened at Kuala Lumpur in 2007, and which was not of much, output, that means positive output. So religious persecutions against Indians, especially Hindus, denial of political rights, ethnic, it is there in some form or other, a little bit. Okay. Now the Hindu Rights Acts, HINDRAF, which is also, he is speaking out all those issues. Probably they are taking up things. Unofficial policy of temple demolition and other things are going on sometime. Maybe those things can be, they can be addressed in some other way. And substantial improvement which hasn't been done and all these things. And still if you see this Murthy, who is the chief of these things, the HINDRAF, he says still people treat them as third-class citizens and all. But the similar thing happens in Myanmar. They say, as per the Singhvi committee report, and there are more than 4 lakhs of them are stateless because of this new policies in Myanmar and new Burmese citizenship law. So they are deemed to be stateless, so which creates a problem for them. Okay. Now, in Yangon also, if you see most of these places, so the people of Indian origins are engaged not in higher jobs, they are more into domestic helps, mechanics, construction workers, and these things are there. So we must also, if possible, take care of these things. So hardly any Indian student, which is they are in the colleges and the universities, they have been, and so the professional class, which is, their class is not that much. So no socio-political clout and all, had no rights either in this land and their origin and the land of their adoptions, people often say. So India government is now taking a note of these things, and which is totally different in Singapore. If you see, it is very different because the people, those who migrate to Singapore, they are highly skilled and educated, and they have better jobs, they are well paid compared to Malay and the Chinese people, and they earn monthly income, even they represent in their politics, and two of their presidents are from Indian origin, and they are in judiciary, executives, and other things. So which is that Singapore is totally different, whereas another side, Malaysia and Burma, it's a little different. So what I would like to say, if you see this Sanghvi committee reports and all these things, there it has made several recommendations by taking into considerations this India's problems and all. So after taking consideration, a few of these things are that they have recognition and appreciation of the economic, political, and philanthropic role. The people, those who are very well-to-do, so they consider their motherland. There is a kind of symbiotic relationship. And Prabasi Bharatiya Divas, which was started after their report, 9th of January every year, when Mahatma Gandhi has returned from South Africa, they have taken that day. So Prabasi, the Sanman Award is also they are giving to all the PIOs and NRIs. And second thing is there is a dual citizenship, which is recommended to the diaspora with appropriate safeguards and all, Indian national developments, country-specific plans for enhancing an activity. There is a single window by which they can do these things. Overseas Indian affairs and overseas citizenship schemes are also introduced. Multi-entry, multi-purpose, lifelong visa for visiting Indians because they are from the Indian origin. Those things are also discussed. Well, So except in the matters related to acquisition of agricultural and plantation properties, most of the, however, OCI doesn't confer the political rights, but otherwise they are getting so many things, which is a great development. And some of the suggestions which were given to the Indian government, many of the places I found, and they say the Indian government, because some places not all places where they are having the problems, so Indian government can initiate some kind of capacity building programs, setting up schools, entrepreneurship development centers in those countries, especially in Malaysian Indians, or some kind of PIO university in India should be set up for urgent basis, which can offer education to deserving Malaysian Indian students. And besides, Indian government and facilitate kind of create a kind of Indian diaspora corpus fund, which can be used and generate resources for the implementation of some of these things. Thank you for patiently listening to these things. Thank you.